Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster MUFC on YouTube and Twitter. Hello Natalie, how are you, mate?
Hi John, it's good to be back. Can't wait.
It's going to be an exciting week, definitely. We've got loads of things to talk about. We're welcoming back two people today. So Ben, how are you keeping, Ben?
I'm good, mate, you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Ben joined us on our second show. It must be at least 2 months ago now, talking about Hansen mainly, LJ Tooney, that number 10 position as well. So that was an exciting show. Matt, welcome back, mate.
Hey, John. Yeah, good to be back. Looking forward to this one. It should be interesting.
Yeah, I really enjoyed last time he was on the show talking about Tooney and all those stories that probably nobody else would know about. So yeah, very good, very good. Natalie, let's start with yourself. We're going to be talking about Megan Rapinoe. We're going to be talking about the Arsenal victory. We're going to be talking about the Man City preview, and we're going to have some fun and games in between that as well. But yeah, Nat, let's start off with yourself.
Yeah, just about the Repino comments. I think a lot of people saw them. She's calling us a disgrace. Why? Because we didn't have a women's team. Yeah, obviously it's not good that we didn't have a women's team, but that was 3 years ago now, and you still want to bring it up now. Megan Rapinoe, I've been saying it a lot on Twitter. She's got a new book coming out. She's not played since 2019. She's big friends with Press and Heath, so it makes it even weirder that she said it now. But you know, she must see that their shirts are doing well, the fact that they're enjoying their football and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying, she's not happy for them, but it's easy to say Man United's name. It's easy to say Man United's name, and it click, it bang. People sit up, Man United. You know, when you look at it, myself, I look at a team like Real Madrid. They've only just started their women's team now, but she doesn't want to say their name. You look at Man City and even West Ham. Man City have been going a while now, but they came in late too. No one's saying anything. West Ham came in at the same time as us. Nothing's been said. It's just, for me, Man United, the biggest club in the world. Harry Maguire said it. Everyone talks about us. And Repino, you know, like I said, she's on the book tour now. She says Man United's name, bang. It's all out there. So fair play to her. Make that bag, make that paper, girl. Go for it.
I just read out the exact quote what she's put, just in case anyone in the comments hasn't heard of it or hasn't read anything about it. This is what she said on ESPN. It's 2020. How long has the Premier League been around? And we're only just seeing a club like Manchester United put efforts and pounds towards a women's team. Frankly, it's disgraceful. To me, I'm thinking to myself, well, a bit like what you just said, and that's why now. You know, 2.5 years on, nearly 3 years on, we haven't heard anything like this before. And all of a sudden, Megan Rapinoe has put this out. Obviously, it's in her own interest, nobody else's. But for me personally, I'm finding it more fascinating the people who are trying to jump on the bandwagon, I suppose, and agree with her. And it all seems to be like all our rivals trying to bring us down. Now, these rivals haven't said anything for the past 2.5 years. All of a sudden, top of the WSL, without to be hit at. It reminds me very much of like the men's team when we was on top. You know, they're really creating a divide, us and them. Now, I don't mind that. I'll embrace it. I'll happily go us against them. That's the way Man United fans tend to be anyway. But to me, there's just so many things going on there. And Katie and Siobhan, obviously, they said their things. I think they've held themselves really well in their responses as well. Matt, what are your thoughts on Megan Rapinoe?
I think I'm going to use the word disappointed. I know some people have said disgraceful, but I think, similar to what Nat said, and she's given a couple of examples there. I think, if we want to chuck out examples of bigger teams, let's, I'm happy to stand toe to toe and tell her, listen, Juventus set up their team 2017, Inter Milan 2018. There's two big European giants. Nat said Madrid. We're talking Premier League, Leicester this year. It's the first year they've gone fully professional and been involved with the men. And then you've got the likes of Watford and Newcastle, Premier League again, not funded by the men, and they're down in the 3rd and 4th tier. So I think for me, disappointing, like you all kind of mentioned, this has been something that's, we're not a new team now. We've had our team, this could have been said years ago. And I think, again, you only have to look. Liverpool, the men won the league, the women got relegated because they're withdrawing funding. So I think in terms of a comment, whilst funding in the women's game as a whole is an issue and we want equality, that's not a problem. However, I think the comments are out of order, just specifically like you've kind of touched, targeting United. The laugh was I was on Instagram before coming on here and she's just literally put something on in a story praising what Press and Heath have done and congratulating them at United. So I think, it's kind of you digging us one week and then you kind of, you come in praising it the next. It's like, which is it, and I mean, like you guys, it's water for ducks back in it. We get it as fans, the players get it. We're not bothered. People want to see us and bring us down because we're top at the minute and it wasn't expected. That's fine, Say what you got to say to promote your book, get your money, and then we move on. It's simple enough for me, really.
Yeah, the way you just described that, it's probably right. She probably does feel a little bit like what she said. She probably does feel that there should have been a team around sooner. But does she feel that strongly about it? Probably not. She probably just thought, let's mention it, like Nat said. If you drop Manchester United's name out there, that's fine. But she probably doesn't feel that strongly about it, to be honest. You can't do if you're that close to Preston Heath. And that's a good point that you just raised there, to be honest, Matt. Ben, what were your thoughts when you heard that comment?
Well, let's be fair. She comes up with some good points sometimes, but a lot of times, for me, she talks utter tripe, man, just for the attention, I think. But if she wants to really look at someone, look at her fellow Americans, the Glazers, and ask them why in 2005 did they boot the women's team? Because apparently it doesn't make enough money or enough profit or whatever. Maybe she should put the shoe on the other foot and ask the owners why. But just tit for tat, really. I just, whatever with her these days, I'm not really bothered. As I said, she's not playing for a while, has she? So is she like trying to keep her name in the headlines, like, while her American teammates doing very, very well in the WSL and grabbing all the headlines worldwide, is she just trying to put herself out there? Oh, remember me, Megan Rapinoe, I'll say something controversial on ESPN and then I'll bang, I'm number one in the headlines again. And that's what it feels like to me, really. I just, whatever, really, with me. In one ear, out the other ear.
Yeah, that's the way it's got to be, I think. This will be blown over. I mean, Nat, do you agree with what Matt and Ben just pretty much said there?
Yeah, 100%. She's keeping her name relevant. And like you say, go get that paper, girl. Good for you. We're moving on. We're top of the league. We're, thinking about the derby. Don't be shy about what it is, Get your paper, move on.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, much like yourself, water for ducks back. I'm here thinking, brilliant game against Arsenal, which we'll talk about in a second. We've got the derby coming up. We're sitting top of the WSL. She's got in there. She said a quote, and everyone's kind of jumping on it. And the only reason why we're talking about it is because everybody else is talking about it, and we feel like we need to address it as fans. But I think you guys have hit the nail on the head, to be honest, with what we just said there. On to more exciting things. Arsenal, 1-0 victory. First time that we've won one of the top three teams in the WSL. Come on, let's go the other way around. Let's start with Ben this time. Ben, I mean, did you see that win coming? What were your thoughts on that game?
I thought it'd be a lot tougher than what it was, to be fair. Arsenal looked ordinary, absolutely ordinary in that game. It just seemed like there was no tactics at all from their management side. It just seemed to be a big jumble mess, really. And to be fair, every time we played Arsenal, I've not been all that impressed by them. It's all right when they're blowing teams away that are of no disrespect, of lesser stature, when they're blowing teams 8, 9, 10-0. But they just, when we played them the first time in the Conti Cups, I thought we gave them a really, really good game. Really, really good game, that game. And I thought that was probably the best game out of the three that have been played in entertainment purposes, because it was end-to-end, especially for the last 15, 20 minutes. But when we played them in the league last season, they weren't all that for me. They weren't all that. And not yesterday, should have said. This weekend just gone. They just look absolutely ordinary. They come up against us, for example, and they don't seem to be you know, they can't get a pass together sometimes. It seems so disjointed from Arsenal, but take nothing away from United, though. That performance was really, really top. I think from number 1s to 11, we were absolutely bossing it at times. Really, really was bossing it. I chose Leah Golden as man of the match because I think someone that's played as traditionally attacking player, going in at left back, and doing an absolute top draw job. I thought she was brilliant. I think Tooney was excellent again, arriving in the box late, get that goal, like I said last time. But I think everybody had like at least an 8 out of 10 game. 8 out of 10 game. It was just brilliant.
We definitely made them look ordinary, like you say. I think because winning the midfield battle quite a lot. I think Jackie Gronin done an amazing job again. Thank you to everybody in the comments. John Fry, John Neville, Taz, thank you for joining in. Matt, that comment on the screen, we could have scored, we could have won 5 or 6-0 easily. I mean, Press had 3 chances. I think Heath and Press linked up very well in that first half. I mean, did you think we was going to get that many chances against Arsenal?
In terms of chances, no. But then I think, like Ben said, that's kind of a credit to the players and Casey for the way we kind of set up to create them chances. I think I'd agree with John, 5 or 6, yes. I mean, something I said last year, and I'll probably, against top teams allude to it again this year. I think clinical, again, we need to start, and this isn't a criticism, by the way, don't get me wrong, I was chuffed to bits with the performance, but I think one thing that Casey kind of instills in her players, and I'd like to think us as fans, is she always wants more. And I think I remember something Nat said about after the 12-0 win at Villa in season 1, and she said to us, oh, no, it wasn't good enough, that, and we're thinking, we've just won 12-0. And she was like, oh, from minute 60 to minute 90, we didn't score a goal. And that's kind of the levels. And I think, for me, like I said, happy with the performance, but I'm pretty sure she'll feel that we could have scored more. And, as John touched on there, we could have had 5 or 6 if we'd taken our chances. And let's be honest, we had some really good chances in that game and we put those away. You're looking at a completely different game. I think that injury time of 7 minutes, wherever that came from, it was one of the most nerve-wracking things, I think, especially not being there as well to kind of watch it in the ground. It was like, but no, I think, very good performance. John's just added there, Amy T, player of the match. I'd said the same as well. It's difficult because obviously, if you're only able to pick 4 names on Twitter, there's so many people you could have put down for that. But no, Amy was mine. And I think, just a good start. Ben's covered it. He said there were nothing special. I think Conti Cup 2-1 last year. I actually tweeted this yesterday. We were unlucky to lose 1-0, very, very last minute. But yeah, this year, let's look at a very good performance on Sunday, and credit to the players in Casey. Natalie,
Amy T for player of the match. Amy T started off that move that led to the goal. What were your thoughts about that combination with the players who were involved?
100%. Bringing Turner and Turner back. I mean, I've been sort of saying it. I love what Abby's doing, but I think a lot of people are feeling that. Maybe it's a nostalgic vibe. Maybe it's just the fans, but Turner and Turner back and then performing like that, it was just amazing. I agree. It's always a tough, it's not always a tough, but it's the very first one that Ben talked about in 2018, 2019, the Conti Cup. I thought you could see that we were close, but we weren't close enough. And then obviously last year we just lost that 1 goal, there was times in that game when we should have scored. We could have had 2 or 3. Jane Ross missed one, Tooney, header. This clinicalness, and I think, like with the Press chances, we should have been ahead definitely in the first half, and then Toby had one in the second half, and then eventually, we broke them down. We got that goal, and it was a fantastic goal. All 4 players involved because it went from Amy T, LJ, Jess, that run. Oh my God, like everyone knows.
Talk about that run. I mean, the amount of
run, she just took that ball and just put it in front of her and just knew that she was going to beat that player. She knew. She thought, I am Jess Sixworth. I want it more than you. And that's the thing with Arsenal. It's the same with the men. You stick it on them, they don't like it. It's always been like maybe the men are getting a bit better at it, but you stick it on them and they don't like it. You don't like that pressure. And I think last year we sort of felt like we couldn't press them as much, whether we believed it or not, whether we thought we were going to do it, but we weren't as dominant last year as we were this year. This year it was just the minute they had the ball, bang, we were in on them. We wouldn't let them sleep. We wouldn't let them breathe. And Arsenal have that kind of weakness, everyone knows what I'm on about. When you put pressure on Arsenal, they crumble, and we're seeing it with the women's team. We've seen it with the men before, and you know, I'm not going to take anything away from the girls. I'm not saying anyone did, but you know, it was fantastic from the girls. And you know, you're hearing their manager saying, "Oh, we didn't do our plan B, we didn't do our plan this." Listen, we had a plan for all their plans, you know, and now it's just the next stage. Now keep on doing what we're doing, keep getting our points, because you know, in a way, I had a feeling we'd be here. I knew we could win all our games coming up, you know. The only one I thought we probably would drop points, which we did, was Chelsea, but we got a draw. So it's on to City now and just doing what we can do. But what did you think of it, John? What did you think of Arsenal?
I was very disappointed in Arsenal, obviously in a good way for us, but I was expecting a lot more. I wasn't expecting, I think we had 23 shots to their 11. That's just, you know, you couldn't believe that, could you, if you compare that to like last season. I think the Chelsea draw gave us a bit of belief, knowing that we could take something from that big, the top three. And I think we went into this game with belief. I don't know if Arsenal were just fatigued or what. I'm not going to give them any excuses. We outplayed them. We was a better team. But something wasn't right for Arsenal. They shouldn't be. It's like they turned up thinking they was happy with the draw. But we just, all the little battles over the pitch, we just seemed to win them all. So yeah, their position. I think there was about 10 minutes in the first half where they put quite a few crosses into the box, but Amy dealt with them. You know, our defence looked like they dealt with them. It's as simple as that. Really, really enjoyed Jess Sigsworth's run. You know, that is something that we've been missing. I do think there'll be a few new fans this season who's watching Man United, who's probably never watched them before. Now that Preston Heath have joined us, they won't know much about Jess. That's what Jess gives you. And then the composure that she had to look up for Tooney. And not only Tooney's shot, the fact that she was running right towards a goal, and then just about a couple of seconds before, she just moved off, got away from the defender, gave herself a bit of space, and it's a great goal, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I think it's well deserved. Really disappointed with Arsenal. I think City will be a lot different, which we'll talk about towards the end of the show. But Ben, I mean, where do you see us going from here? Do you see that win giving us even more encouragement to push on from here?
I think so, mate. Yeah, going into Derby Day, it's going to give us a massive. I wouldn't say a boost of confidence, because I don't think we needed a boost, but I think it's just giving us a massive uplift. You know, a massive. Yeah, we're just beating possibly one of the best teams in the league. I say possibly because I think Chelsea's probably just edges it for me with all their superstars. But we've beaten one of the best teams in the league. I think it's going to give us a massive uplift. The players are just going to be bouncing into training instead of maybe, you know, nervously excited. They're going to be bouncing into training. They're going to want match day to come along as quick as we would like to come along. So I think we're going to go in there with a mass load of confidence, and I reckon we're going to beat them. Trust me.
Matt, going into the game, there was some bad news regarding injuries. So Alessia Russo out. We saw pictures of her on Twitter in the hospital bed, prepared for surgery, I guess. And Kirsten Smith and Abby McManus. Obviously surprising. Look, we've got a big enough squad to deal with it, but it's still 3 injuries that we don't want. It means obviously all the other players will have to play a bit more now. How do you think those injuries will affect us, Matt?
I mean, obviously, in terms of the results Sunday, you know, I mean, it didn't seem to affect that. But I think it goes back to my point at the start of the season. I was talking on Twitter again about sort of where we'll finish this year, and I said third. And I also said that Arsenal would drop out of the top 3. Got a load of abuse off their fans for that. But my reasons were they have a small squad and they can't cope with injuries. And, you know, this is being proven now. Whether they want to use that as an excuse doesn't bother me. But facts are they've got injuries and they're struggling at the minute. And I think what's good is we do have strength in depth. Now, obviously, we've ended up with Leah, a left back, which, I mean, you know, it's not ideal. But Martha seems to be still out, still injured. We don't know how long for. Obviously, Smithy as well. She's another one like Martha. She sort of plays both sides, left back, right back. So obviously missing Smithy as well. Plus, obviously, like you mentioned, Abby, owner had only just come back as well. So I think, you know, given the circumstances, we did well to cope. I think coming up for the derby now, Saturday, hopefully we can have one or two of those back. If it's one of them, then great. I think it just gives us options. But I think, credit to those players that were out there. Like I said, Sunday we put in one heck of a performance considering. And it's something, again, I've mentioned, people were coming out with all sorts about the defenders and this and that. But it's like I said, that wasn't our strongest back four, in my view. Leah would normally be further up. And then obviously, I think for me, I'd have probably Kirsty Smith. And then obviously you've got Ona in there alongside both the Turners. So, yeah, I think going forward, I'd like to think we'd still be able to have the depth to cope. I know there's one or two academy players that have kind of been, training, whether they make the bench or something just for sort of extra numbers, I don't know. But, I think promising signs going forward, those people that have come in have stepped up to the plate and really kind of, look to prove a point to Casey to say that, when these players do come back, this position's mine.
Yeah, I don't think many places are guaranteed at the moment, to be honest. I think we've probably all said before, probably Millie Turner, Mary Earps are probably two. Even Hayley Ladd this season has been rotated. Definitely not dropped, definitely rotated. But, Preston Heath, not necessarily guaranteed. I'll probably miss one of the City games. I'd probably say if Russo was fit, then probably Russo would have played the most the way that she started.
Yeah.
But we'll talk a little bit more maybe about who to start in a second when we go through the games. But Nat, just to finish up with yourself, just in conclusion, so I'm top of the league at the moment. How long do you reckon we can stay there for?
We've been on this show, right? And I've said it. Yeah. How many times have I said it? And I know I don't want to put the pressure on because I think, we're a 2-year-old team and, no one's expecting us. Ben even said just before, probably if you look at it on paper, Arsenal probably on paper a bit better than us. City on paper a bit better than us, but I think we can beat them. But for me, it's the Chelsea. They are going to maintain their consistency. They have all these superstars. It's talk now. She's saying Emma Hayes, Chelsea manager, is struggling to keep everyone happy. That might be our way in, Casey is doing the rotation job. It's players, if they're not playing now, they will play. They will have an impact. But, I've always said it, and I think people are getting it a bit confused when I'm saying it. I'm saying we're going to win the league, as in let's aim for that. Because if we go for first and get third, do you think I'm not happy? Of course I am. If we get second, do you think I'm not happy? Of course I am. This is a 2-year-old team, and we're sitting top now. They're looking at us, Chelsea, and saying things like, we prefer to be chasers. And I'm thinking to myself, you've only just been around 2 years and you're talking about you should be cleaning up, love. Don't talk to us, Don't try and start that foolishness. But, whatever it is, it was always, let's renew our passports. Yeah, that was always the shout. But if we get the league, that's what Preston Heath come to do. Let's do it. Let's win something. That's what we want. Silverware.
Yeah, I thoroughly agree. And to be fair, a lot of the things you say, I do nod my head. And just because we're top, it doesn't mean that we should stop aiming for top. Start of the season, I'm sure a lot of us thought third would be a fantastic achievement, and that shouldn't change. But obviously now that we are top, we want to see how long we can stay there. And I'm sure at some point, we will start dropping points. And I'm sure at some point City and Chelsea will start playing better. I think at some point we will all level out. The question is maybe can we keep this momentum going long enough to kind of get that gap? I think we've got 5 points ahead of City already. If we get that win against City, that'll be an 8-point gap, and then we can afford to start dropping some points. But that's another week down the line. So let's just be very happy where we are, and let's put it this way: our rivals are definitely taking notice of us, and that's always a bonus. Thank you to everyone in the comments as well again. So got a bit of fun and games, and obviously people watching can join in. So we're going to try and guess each other's starting 11, but we're going to break it down into positions. So Matt is going to try and guess who Natalie would put in her starting 11 regarding defenders. Ben is going to guess who Matt would put in his starting 11 regarding the midfielders, so 3 midfielders. I'm going to guess who Ben would put up front. and Nat is going to guess who my top 3 players of the season are so far. So it could be easy, it could be difficult. I think no matter who we choose, I don't think there'll be too many surprises. Obviously, we know who the goalkeeper would be, so we don't necessarily need to go down that route. But I have got to give a massive shout out to Mary Earps. I'm sure she played. She played a great game against Arsenal. I think she got into the team of the week, didn't she? Matt, Mary Earps, how do you think she's doing this season?
I mean, well, you all know me, big Mary fan. I've been sort of pre-United as well. I've kind of followed Mary's career for a while now. But yeah, I think, some things and some weeks, she does maybe get, in my view, some unfair criticism. I think in terms of performance-wise, I'd like to think she's pretty consistent. For me, I think what you see with Mary is kind of what you get. She made a very good save from the Amy Turner, what should we call it, clearance from Sunday. That could have obviously at 0-0, that could have swung the game completely the other way. Something I tweeted about yesterday was a double save last year. And I think, it's difficult as a goalkeeper, isn't it? Because you don't always get the plaudits. People just see the goals going in and it's difficult. But I think, for one of two things, like for me, again, probably I'd say in my view, she's up there in the best keepers in the league. People might say Ella Roebuck at City, but that's probably because she's in the England team. She's England number 1. But for me, again, last year, Mary, for what we had of the season, kept us in games at times. This year, again, she's done the same. So, yeah, I think, like you said, fantastic. I'm pleased she's made Team of the Week. Hopefully now we'll kick on. And, she said yesterday on her Instagram Live, she wants to win trophies at this club. She wants to be in the Champions League. And I think, with her in goal, and obviously she'll be getting better, as she gets towards the peak of her career, I think big things to come.
Yeah. Ben, would you pretty much agree with all that?
Yeah, pretty much, mate. I could go on a whole video about goalkeepers. I think it's the most difficult position on the pitch to play. One minute you could be a hero, half a second later you could be an absolute zero. If you make a mistake, the ball's in the back of the net. But for me, Mary Earps has come in, ever since she's come in, hardly made any mistakes whatsoever. I've no problem with Mary Earps whatsoever. I think she's now developed that understanding with the back line now a lot more. I think they've marshalling it between each other, between the goalkeeper, Millie, Amy, and in fact the entire back line. Whoever plays in the back line, I think they're now talking a lot more, communicating a lot more. It seems a lot more less rushed, more thought out, more talking, more communicating. I think she's come in and she's certainly calmed us down at the back. I think whereas before we may have given a soft goal away or something like that along them lines. I think now we're starting to see the fruits of having a top international goalkeeper in her prime as number 1, marshalling that back line completely. I've just top draw, mate.
Excellent, yeah. Okay, so speaking about a back line, Natalie's back line. So the options are Martha Harris, Millie Turner, Amy Turner, Aaron McManus, Lotte Rockquist, Kirsty Smith, Ona Batley. I think, is it Batley now or Batley? I don't know.
I just say battle.
Yeah.
So, Matt, who do you think Natalie would put in there?
Right. I know Natalie loves Ona. I think we all do. So, Ona's going to be in the back 4. I think, she mentioned before Turner and Turner. And then I think Kirsty Smith, something we talked about the other week, and we said how much Kirsty had improved. And I think, credit to her, we can see from season 1. So I think sort of for those reasons, for me, I think Ona and Kirsty, and then the 2 Turners as the back 4.
Cool.
Spot on.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me at the moment, that's kind of our more, what should we say, like consistent back 4. I think, the slowly getting to grips with each other. I think it's probably our strongest back 4 at the minute. I mean, listen, we've got competition for places. You touched on earlier about rotation. We do have rotation. We've got the options to do it now, which is great. We've got players that are going to, really up the game in training to win that spot. But I just think for me, I think like I touched on there, Kirsty, massively improved. She's come in, she's done very well. She can play left back, she can play right back. And Ona, somebody I didn't know a lot about in summer. I know Natalie was kind of, giving pointers and, kind of informing us about her. But I think, again, she's been one of our most consistent performers since that Chelsea game when she was, probably, Jackie got player of the match, but she wouldn't have been far behind. I think, very good. She's adapted to the league well. She looks to be slowly kind of off the pitch, getting used to everything, picking up the language. Very impressed. I think she gets forward as well. She's an attacking fullback like Kirsty is. And then obviously you've got the Turner and Turner partnership from season 1, which is just as solid as they come. I think there was something the other day. Millie Turner, most aerial battles won. And I think Amy was joint second or third. She wasn't far behind, with like 1 or 2 behind. So again, a good solid base. And Ben talked about that before in terms of, building that solid base with Mary. And I think, clean sheets or keeping goals out is going to be massive this year. If we're looking at that top 3, how well and consistent those players perform will determine kind of, if we break top 3 or if we manage to come first for me.
I would agree with that. I think you would have picked that, and I think I would pick that as well. With Kirsty Smith potentially currently, potentially out, injured for I don't know how long for. Would you like to see Lotta get in there anytime soon? How far off do you think she is?
If you said to me it's Man City in the league, I'd play Leah. If it's Man City in the cup, I'd play Lotta. For me, I think she had a good game, West Ham, but there's just still something. I still feel like she looks stronger, to be fair to her. She looks stronger in a tackle. Last year, she would have been probably pushed off, so like you can tell all players have really worked on their strength like during lockdown. And I'll give her that. But for me, I just think potentially just because Leah's been there a bit longer, she knows that team a bit better. I just have Leah in the league. If Smithy's not fit, but like what Matt says about the attacking fullbacks, it's Smithy and Anna for me. I think Smithy, when we had Alex Greenwood in there, you probably wouldn't have said Smithy. You would have said, maybe Martha with Alex. But no, I think Smithy's just come on leaps and bounds. And for me, Anna is our best fullback. But for me, Smithy ain't too far behind. She's just going about her business quietly. Looks absolutely immense. Can't really remember many mistakes that she's made. I don't think she's made any. I think she's strong in the tackle. I think, like Matt says, she goes forward. She's great positionally. So I just, a big shout out to Kirsty Smith because from 2018 to now, she's just a different player. And, it's credit to the coaching and everyone there and the girls working hard with her.
I think it's amazing that on the first lockdown, I've done a few podcasts either on your channel, Nat, or on the Barmy Army channel, and we was talking about the lack of attacking options available from the fullbacks. I know we spoke to Mark on the Barmy Army podcast as well. He's a big fan of fullbacks being attacking, and we've gone from almost non-attacking fullbacks who were playing last season to now even talking about Galton and Ona coming in. Look, when we have the ball, we've potentially got like 8 people bombing forward. It's a great position to be in, isn't it? Yeah. Ben, would you say the same? What we got in the back line?
Yeah, I'd say the same, mate. In fact, I've been pretty impressed with Kirsty Smith. I think she's probably the most improved player. I really do. When you see Kirsty Smith from 2 years ago to Kirsty Smith now, I think it's been a massive, massive improvement. I really do. And I agree. I like the idea of attacking fullbacks. United have always had attacking fullbacks, bombing on forward, making an overlapping run, either getting a cross in the box or getting the box themselves, maybe get a shot away. I think she's, honestly, I'm really, really, really impressed because I was one of them that was a bit, sitting on the fence a little bit. But she really has improved, Chris. I've been really, really impressed.
Yeah. So, Ben, Matt, who do you think Matt would put in the midfield 3? So, options are Ella Toon, Hayley Ladd, Lucy Staniforth, Jackie Golden, Katie Zellum. You could throw LJ in there if you want as well.
Mate, this is what I was saying just before we came on. It's all dependable on what formation you play and how you play. These players, especially the players that play up top, can all swap around with each other, go on interchange. Yeah. But if it was me and I had to pick, I'd definitely pick Hayley Ladd to be the first one on the team sheet every time for me. I think she's our midfield enforcer. I think we look lightweight without her. I've must said this on Twitter loads, and it might be me being a bit picky, but I think we do. We just don't look as tough and as resilient in midfield when she's not on the pitch. I think, people start walking through our midfield a little bit. And I think she's one of them players not afraid to put her foot in to any challenge, to put her head in where it hurts. So I think Hayley Ladd for me would be the first one I reckon Matt will go for, definitely. And on form, Jackie Gronan. You can't drop Jackie Gronan. I was one last season. I will admit, I hold my hands up. I wasn't all that impressed. I was like, she's come in, big player, being bitty. But this season, she hit the road, hit the ground running. That's the word I'm looking for.
Why do you think
she's been absolutely awesome. I just think it's just. I think she's had a period of settling in now, and she's had. Well, not really a pre-season, really, has it? But she's had a bit of time under her belt now, and I think she's just got used to the people around her. And I think there's also players that have come in that have maybe made a game a little bit easier, if you know what I mean. When you have Heath and Press in the team, it's like better players make you then up your game and make you feel like a better player. It just ups the levels completely. But I've been really, really impressed with her. And again, it's all dependable on the formation. It's like, and dependable where you want to play these players, because they can all fit in different places. But I'll go for Ella Toon, because I know how much of a fan Craney is about Tooney. And I do think she's, and as I said last time, I do think she's the best player we have that can break in that box late and get a shot away and get at least make the goalkeeper work. If she's not scoring, she's making the keeper work. I think she's called leads of balance, because I know Craney says she could play on the right-hand side of midfield as well, but I actually prefer her as a deep-lying midfield player. So as a number 10 role, maybe a little bit deeper. So when the ball's breaking, when say a winger, for example, we're using a goal, for example, she's breaking, she's cutting the ball back to the edge of the D. First thing, the first player that's going to arrive there is Ella Toon. She's got that know-how, she's got that ability to read the game and to read where a pass is going to go. So I'll pick Tooney as my third and final choice in midfield.
Matt, before you give your answers away, I can see you're nodding your head there, so I think Ben's probably got a lot of them right. Nat, would you agree with Ben there? Do you think that's Matt's three?
100%. I think it'd be a lot of people's midfield three. I know people might say, "Oh, get Zelly in there, get this one in there," but for me, I think it's those three. I think, like what Ben says about Jackie, and a lot of people came out going, "Oh, well, this and that, Jackie this," and making excuses really last year. I'm sure she would say, "Listen, it wasn't, she wasn't of the standard that she is this year, whatever position she's playing in, And I just think she's come back, and I think she said it. She's worked on her strength a lot, because I think a lot last year she was pushed off the ball. I saw it at times, and I think, like Ben said, she said that time now she got settled. Lockdown happened, and they had that program, and I think they've really stuck to it, really drilled it. And all that time they were just training, and yes, it was on their own, but it's really showing. It's really shining through. And then they had their pre-season, so when they were back together, they put it all in to place. It's great. And then obviously she's got the runners in front of her now, and Russo, Press, Eve, all them people, scoring goals. So they're on I'm not saying that they weren't last year, but it's just, she's a joy now. I mean, not that she wasn't before, but it's just a joy. This is the Jackie Gronan that we want to see. It's just shame we're not there to see it live.
Yeah, I think it's just a shame with Katie, obviously, having COVID as well. That put her out the squad for a few weeks, and Ella and Jackie really took advantage of that, didn't they? I mean, I don't want to give
think
away.
it's a shame, John. Lucy Stan was out at the start as well. You know, these are players that, you know, they've missed, through whatever reason, fault of their own, they've not been able to play, and then boom, your place is, you know, cemented by someone else.
That's it, yeah, and that's a strength and depth, isn't it? Yeah. A few comments. Oliver, thank you for joining in, mate. I can genuinely see United winning the league and the quality that's come in. That's what Nat's been saying. Matt, I mean, have we got an answer for that one, mate? Do you think
is a good match for MUWFC? Assuming Hayley starts, I'd say yes. Again, something kind of I'd had discussions with people about. We were talking kind of, if Hayley plays, for me, I'd have a man marking MUWFC. I really would, because I think, you know, listen, I've seen very little of City this year, being honest, but I think from what I have seen, Sam MUWFC seems to be the kind of that driving player, that player in midfield that's kind of putting herself about. She's kind of just running through teams. I mean, I saw the Bristol game and I saw the FA Cup final. Obviously Everton, you know, no disrespect to Bristol, but two completely different teams. But again, Everton, you know, look at some of their players and they just struggled to deal with her, and she just dominated. And I think, you know, for me, Hayley's going to be massively important for us. But somebody else I mentioned, if Hayley isn't involved, is Lucy Staniforth. Again, she's not afraid to tackle. She will put herself in there. It's going to be difficult to get both in, because ideally, if we're talking in terms of matching them for physicality, which I think we do need to do, we do need to kind of accommodate both. But then, you know, we've all talked about in terms of form, you know, again, I'd agree with what's been said. You can't drop Ella and you can't drop Jackie. So I think if Hayley stays with Sam all game, you know, man marker, get her out the game, pin the fullbacks, then I think, you know, we're looking at a very decent chance of winning for me. But yeah, I think Sam MUWFC is probably their danger person, just because of the sheer strength of her and the sheer height of her. But no, I back Hayley all day long. I always have done. You know, she loves a challenge. I think fans love seeing her play. She does a job well, but she will get stuck in, and that's exactly what we need for Saturday.
So did Ben get three there, Matt?
Oh, bang on. Yeah, I mean, listen, he touched on it well. He's coming back again, isn't it, to that kind of old competition for places that we've mentioned. And I think you just can't argue with those three. You really can't. I mean, you know, everyone on here, I'm sure, is a big fan of LJ. But obviously, you know, again, she's been injured. Like you said, Katie unfortunately got COVID. Lucy's been injured. And, you know, once these players are coming in and they're hitting form and they've taken your place, you know, I think there was an interview I read with Casey Stoney. I think it was by Goal. And Casey was basically saying, you know, Ella was disappointed last year with kind of the number of minutes she got played. And, you know, again, absolutely right. I think she had a right, in my mind, to kind of be frustrated. But credit to her. She's gone away. She's worked. Looks like she's kind of been doing a bit of strength and conditioning work over lockdown. She's come in now and she's made that position her own. And I just think, you know, same with Jackie. Jackie's obviously gone away. She's worked. I think for me, she looks to be in a slightly different role this year. I think last year she was put quite high up for me. And, you know, her work rate's always been good, but sometimes she looked like she was just chasing a lost cause. And I think similar to Ben, I was kind of, you know, thinking, what is this? I mean, I very briefly saw her at Chelsea. And she was very young then, and she struggled. And I think last year, you know, we saw glimpses of what she could do. But I think this year now, she's kind of in that double pivot. She's the one that's kind of further back slightly with Hayley behind her. And then you've got Tooney that's kind of the curator. And I think that's what we've kind of changed to our benefit this year, is that we know we've got Hayley mopping up sort of, you know, behind you. Jackie can get the ball from where she does, you know. She can kind of dictate play. She can pick the pass. She can, you know, create the space for Tooney, as we talked about, to get those late runs in and around the box. And I think it just works between those three. At the minute, I think, you know, Ben's pretty much hit the nail on the head. Very good midfield three. They're all in form. You know, for me, why would you change your winning team? Obviously, injuries may dictate that. And obviously, you know, rotation, because obviously we play City again in the Conti Cup not long after the weekend. But I think, you know, yeah, absolutely. Completely agrees that midfield three, and it's a credit to them. Again, you know, we mentioned Hayley. Hayley holds it together. I think she does. I just think she gets about kind of the pitch and her job, and maybe not many people notice kind of her efforts and her work rate, but she just, you know, she makes it look effortless, and that's not a bad thing for me. I think she's just so good at what she does. It goes over people's heads sometimes, and I think they don't see it. But yeah, I think, you know, those three at the moment, you cannot argue, regardless of, your LJs on the bench and anybody else. And, shout out again to Tooney. We talked about this, didn't we, John, last time? As Nat said, she did play out on the right. Credit to her and Casey for bringing her centrally, because I think it has benefited her and the team a lot more now. It just gives options, If we were to become short one day on the right due to, say, injuries or suspensions, that could potentially be somewhere where, she can be versatile and play there and still keep a place.
100%. So you guys, I guess, 100%. Matt, 100%. Ben, 100%. I think I've got it top now. I really do. I know how fond Ben is of a lot of our players, especially Galton and Hansen. But I also know how well Russo has played. I also know what LJ can do, and I know how highly Ben rates LJ. But then we've got Heath, who's come in, who's world class, who's done really well, I think. And then you've always got the potential of Press, one of the best strikers in the world. So it's going to be tough for me to guess this one correctly. So I probably will go with, I still don't know. I haven't even thought about it too much. I think I'll go for Russo up front because of how good she has been so far this season. On the left, it's either going to be Galton or Heath. So I think he's not giving anything away, is he? He's not giving anything away. I'm probably going to go with Galton, Russo, and maybe Heath on the other side as a guess. But I could be completely wrong there. Has anyone got any ideas to help me out on this one? Because I think no matter who you pick, it's amazing. Look at the options. We've got Hansen, Galton, LJ, Ross, Siggy, Russo. I don't know if I've said Heath or Press already. There's so many of them. Nat, help me out on this one, mate.
For Ben, if I was choosing for Ben, I think he would go Hansen, Russo, Heath. I just think for Ben, that's what I'd go with. But you could prove me wrong. I think I'd go the way you said it, John. I think I'd go Galton, Heath, that goal versus West Ham, the creativity. She's got the most chances. But Galton, I saw a stat the other day, like most chances created out of any player in the WSL, And I mean, I know a lot of people are saying Press, but for me, Russo would be in that 9. The goals that she scored, the header, the run versus Brighton, even when she came on versus Birmingham, she just changed that whole game. And that's not taking nothing away from Press. Press, like you said, she's one of the best. And I think we're starting to see it now. I think we saw the glimpses, I think that shot, that bicycle kick shot, oh my days, if that had gone in. Oh, just, them two, they're the way they're linking up now. And I mean, that's why I feel for a lot of them, because LJ, she's been out injured, and I think now it's the Press and I'm going to see the American show really up top, because I think for me, Heath has cemented a place definitely on that right. It's just who's going to be on that left. Is it going to be Galton, which for me it would be, but obviously she's been pushed back, so who knows. But for me, Russo had cemented her place as 9. It's just unfortunate now, but obviously then that's given that. It sounds weird giving that chance to Press, and I can see it then when Russo gets fit again. Is she going to get back in? It's just it's crazy. It's crazy to see, and I love it. I absolutely adore it. I can't wait for everyone to be fit, but obviously it's probably going to be a while.
Matt, would you say anything different from myself?
I think I'd agree. I think pretty much, Nat's pretty much covered it there in terms of sort of Toby and Heath. I think she's come in, we've seen what she contributes on the pitch, but hey, imagine what she contributes off it in terms of training, and there's you saw, was it Spurs away, when she was giving advice, she's always kind of in and around, whether she's playing or on the bench, again, Russo, let's say it's one of them, isn't it? The facts kind of and how she plays and her stats speak for themselves, very, very good. Frightening that she's only 21 because she's only going to get better. And then obviously you've got the dilemma. Leah, again, somebody I rate very highly. One of very few left-footed players in our team. Again, for me, that kind of makes her unique. There's not many left-footers around these days. And then obviously you've got Ben's favourite, Kirsty Hansen, who again, I always think back to that Birmingham game, and I tweeted at half-time, I said, we need to get her in these positions where she's going to be effective and get her on the ball more, because at times in the first half, we barely passed to her. I think second half, did she, a couple of assists from memory, maybe a goal. But, again, it's very difficult. But no, I think for me, Leah, Tobin Heath and Alessia for me.
Come on then, Ben, put me up on me 3.
It's that great strength in depth that we've got in it. It could be anybody, but Leah definitely on the left. If I had to pick the strongest winger, Leah on the left, because for me, she's probably our best winger. I'd even have her ahead of Heath. I think she offers so much going forward. It's so she's definitely nailed on as the left hand side. Russo definitely nailed on as number 9. There's someone there that's now clinical in front of goal. Is the word I'm looking for, is clinical, because I think we've wasted far too many chances. We did it against Arsenal. We need to start learning to put the ball in the back of the onion bag, because if it all comes down to goal difference, we're scoring minutely sometimes. It's like we need to start putting it in the onion bag, and I think she's a player that knows where the back of the net is. So I'll definitely have her as number 9. And on the right, I'd actually have Heath over Hansen. And I know that's going to surprise people, but that experience that she brings and that her all-round footballing ability is really good. And I think Heath, more than Press, has had an absolute massive impact on this team. She's one there. You can see it sometimes when you watch it on, depending on what channel you're watching it on. But sometimes when the camera cuts away, you can see her talking to players, giving them little bits of advice on the football field. And I think that's made the biggest impact, I believe, especially with a lot with the younger players that are in and around the team, in and around her. She seems to be one that's a calm presence up front. She doesn't panic when she gets the ball. She knows exactly what she's going to do. Don't take too long to think about it, and it's executed with perfection for me. And I've been thoroughly impressed with her. And I think that's someone that Hansen could take a lot from and learn a lot out of the game.
Thank you to that United family. Bigging you up there, Ben.
Well, always nice. Always nice.
You've got lots of fans, Ben. That's what it is.
It's the beard, mate. Got to be.
Matt, before we move on to Natalie, because there's pressure on Natalie now, because I think I've got 100%, yeah. Matt's got 100%, Ben's got 100%. So before we move on to Nat, aside from you, is there any other player that you'd be worried about in the derby?
I think, I've seen in the comments at the side, somebody mentioned Kira Walsh, Everton man marking her. I think, yes, Kira can be kind of, influential for City. She's similar to what we have in Hayley Ladd. But I think for me, Ellen White, if Ellen White plays, she's a very, very, very good forward. And it kind of pains me to say that because she's now a City player. But, I think her record speaks for itself. She got up to 50 WSL goals. For me, I think, again, even pre-City, if she'd have kind of stayed injury-free, she'd be on a lot more goals in the WSL by now. Obviously, she's pushing on age-wise, but I think, again, it's somebody we've got to watch out for. I think a movement and a kind of a clever play in and around the box is something we're going to have to kind of be on our guard for. And, again, I think, keep Turner and Turner in there. And I think, for me, if it's kind of, the old kind of 1 goes and 1 sits type thing with those two, I think, put Amy in there and match her physically and just kind of have Millie and the others kind of mopping up in and around, I think. But, yeah, I'd say Ellen White for me is more dangerous than Chloe Kelly at the minute. Chloe Kelly, again, capable, but at the minute, not massively worried. I think for me, it's got to be Ellen White that we need to be watching after Sam Mewis.
Cool. Okay, that's so my 3 players of the season so far.
This is hard. I'm going to go number 1. Yeah. Alessia Russo. for me, she's been, like Ben says, like we've all said just before, an absolutely clinical striker. It's just different watching the team with her in it compared to without it. I think Press did well, but we're watching some of the chances, and I think it's just because Press is coming back. But watching some of the chances that we had, we're thinking, if Leslie was just there, if you put that ball in the box and Leslie was there, and the way that is just when she posted herself in the bed, and the way everyone just flocked to her, oh, Leslie get well soon, and everyone's devastated there's no Leslie. So I think that's number one. Oh, it's hard now. I'm thinking Honor, but at the same time, I don't know because she's not played a lot, but I am going to go 2 Honor. I don't know. I've probably got it wrong. I'm thinking of myself now. I'm going to go 2 Honor just because, for me, she's the best fullback in the league, and I'm fit. I know that you really rate. I mean, if you look at some of the numbers, number 1 for crossing, number 1 for intercepting, number 1 for tackling, number 1 for forward runs, number 1 for presses into the box, and this is just one game, and she's at left back, and really she's a right back, but she's at right back, and it's just crazy, her numbers. If you look at it, just raw statistics, oh my God. And the thing is, though, whoever comes against her, I'm not worried. You know what I mean? We're playing against Bronze, we're playing against Green, we're playing against Stoke, and these are big names. These are names. Lucy Bronze, a name that you hear about in the derby, and I'm not worried, because we've got Honor. And that's just credit to her. Oh my God, she's amazing. Number 3, I'm going to go. I've probably got this all wrong because I know that you love Hansen. I know that you love Leah. Oh, but I'm thinking Tobin. I'm going to go Leah. I'm just going to go Leah just because it probably is Tobin, but I'm going to go Leah for you anyway, John, because I think, like I said that stat about the chances created. She's playing left back. She's still having fantastic performances. I mean, I think she started a bit slowly. I think we'll all admit that, Birmingham, I don't think she had a great game. She scored versus Chelsea, though. But even then, I wouldn't even say it was one of her best games. But when she came back into it, the game before this, West Ham, oh, my God, she was amazing. Amazing. That was the Leah that I remember. That's the Leah that we all stand at the side of the pitch, just, like you've said it, John. I've heard you say she's a player that gets you out of your seat all the time. So that's why I'm going to go Leah, and her numbers are there as well. Still. Yeah. Have I got it? Have I done? Oh, well, no, ask the others first.
Ask the others first. Go on, Matt.
Matt, what do you think? Would you say them top 3 then for John?
I'm gonna swap owner. I agree on Alessia and I agree on Leah, and I'm gonna put Tobin Heath in there. It kills me this because I want to be biased and put Tooney in, but I want to also put Jackie in. But I think if we're going for 3, I'm just Tobin's just slightly in there for me. I think you've covered Alessia well, you've covered Leah well. I'm gonna have to go Tobin. She's got goals, she's got assists, and I still think there's a lot more to come from her. For me, I think she's still finding her feet, and obviously the manager's taken her off a few times. But no, I think again, very, very difficult at the minute. There's easily 5, maybe 6 players that you could say at the minute, fair play. But I think it's got to be Alessia, Tobin, and Leah for me.
And Ben, do you agree with my 3, or do you agree with Matt? I totally forgot about Jackie.
It's difficult though, isn't it? Because you could have put Jackie in there, but I could even put Millie Turner in there as well as someone that's been quietly effective, very, very effectively. But no one seems to really, because you're used to that from Millie Turner. You're used to putting 8 or 9 out of 10 performances in, mashing that back line really well. Tooney's a good shout as well. As Craning saying, I think she's a brilliant shout for it. But Galton, Heath, and Russo for me so far.
Nat, you says that you forgot Jackie, so this is a bit like a twist. So, Ona correct, Russo correct. Now that you've remembered Jackie, would you swap Jackie for Galton? Now that you remember Jackie,
or take her owner out, Nat, and stick Jackie in.
Nobody's just said owner's correct.
Owner's correct. Russo's correct. would you put Jackie in place of Galton?
I don't know if you're gonna you sticking me up to fail, but you're helping me. You're helping me, But yeah, I did forget Jackie because I think it's not that I forgot Jackie because that sounds really strange. Because for me, she's now the number one midfielder by far, and I'm not saying that taking it away from any other midfielder. Just for me, she's like that. When you're thinking of midfield, she is in there. She, if you look at some of her ball retention, her passing. I mean, I'm a bit worried about MUWFC because of the height of a presence. But I do think that double pivot, if you get lads, but I think that Jackie needs to be there as well on her because I think we need to potentially get that press around MUWFC. Because she is their driving factor. So yeah, go on. I'll swap Jackie out, and it's just I just Jackie because, like you say, it's all these attackers are just scoring and they're just assisting and the crosses. And I just forgot about midfield, and never mind even putting in. Well, Kona is the only defender I put in.
Yeah. Look, you've all complimented everyone that we just guessed anyway. So. Yeah. I just don't think she's done anything wrong since she's played 3 games. I think it's 3 games and she's done everything right so far. Russo just hit the ground running, just like Ona has. And yeah, I put Jackie in there purely because got 2 assists at the start of the season, and I really think that she's dominating that midfield. Everyone knows I love Galton, but I just don't think that she's performed as good as Jackie. But I think because Jackie's probably one of my players of the season, so. That's it. So 13 out of 13. That's not too bad at all. David says hi, or where does our captain figure? We did kind of touch on this a little bit earlier with obviously with her being out, having that time out while she was suffering from COVID. Everyone's kind of jumped in front of her at times with Tooney and Jackie, and can't keep our lad out. But yeah, we all rate our captain really highly, but she obviously needs to force her way back into the team now. Pressed in form or Alessia on form? Do you want to answer that one, Ben?
What was that, sorry?
Pressed in form or Alessia on form? In other words, which would you prefer?
Let's see. Clinical, man. Clinical.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen press on form yet. Let's see what she's going to do because, that bicycle kick, like I said, I think that's her coming into form. Maybe, the goals that she can score. Oh, my days. She is absolutely different class. But let's see, is just, she's come in and just changed it. And that's the joy now we have, innit? Rainey, what do you think? Because I know you're like big for Leicester, innit?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think it's mad because I saw her 4 years ago now in 2016, and the World Cup in Jordan, and England didn't win it, but she finished joint top scorer with 5. And I think seeing her then and seeing her now, she's come on leaps and bounds. Like she was very, very, very good then. It was like kind of the excitement we got with LJ in season 1, to kind of give you a bit of a comparison. And I think what she's now got is she's got more kind of awareness and tactical knowledge, which she's likely picked up from America. I think she's worked on her strength. I mean, listen, she's tall, she's got the height, but I think the physique, she's deceptively quick. I mean, it's not something that I don't know whether people kind of see it or they don't. But yeah, she's just got everything. I mean, she'll come deep, she'll win the ball, she'll run with the ball, she can play wide. It's not a best or preferred position, and she's come out and said that herself. But I think you get something different to what kind of our other forwards offer with Alessia, and I think very, very clever player. You'll see her in and around the box. We've not seen yet these long range goals. I think pretty much most of the goals I've seen from her in the last sort of 3-4 years have all been long range outside the box, and I think like we've kind of alluded to earlier on, that she has been clinical in the box. But I mean, yeah, listen, there's a lot to come from her. Gutted like everybody else that she was injured, but when she comes back, she's, she'll hit the ground running again. I've no doubt. She got a bit of a bad injury with a leg break in America last year. Didn't halt her progress. She came back a better player. She kind of worked on things in the gym, her strength, and she's just, happy we got her because, it was mentioned earlier on that Arsenal were linked, and obviously, we are kind of not at kind of, what should we say, Arsenal level in terms of the trophies they've won. But I think, for Alessia, it was like she'd said pre-season, she wants to come, one, where she's valued, and two, where she's going to play. And I think, with Casey's track record of developing young players and Arsenal just binning them off, I think, obviously, happy days for us. But yeah, very, very, very good player now. It's going to be very important when she comes back. And I think going forward, we don't know what's going to happen in terms of the Americans next year. There's a couple of rumours been floating about they may stay on for a year. There's bits saying they may go back. So at least for me, we've kind of, we've got Alessia. She's this young up and coming player. And then obviously see, looking a bit further ahead what next year brings. But very, very impressive so far.
Speaking about the American players, I like Press better on the wing, driving her players. I think a lot of people on Twitter have said that, to be honest. I think it might be fans who have supported Press for a long time before she joined Manchester United. But I do see that quite a lot, to be honest. And maybe that's another way to get her into the game a little bit more. Before we all go, let's just have a bit of a talk about Man City. We spoke about them a little bit already. We'll just go around the board, just tell us a little bit about what you think will happen with the City match and maybe a bit of a score prediction. So, Ben, obviously, we're looking forward to a derby. How can you see it going, and what do you think the score will be?
I think if we can get at them, I think we're going to cause them a lot of problems. The thing I'm more interested in from the City's point of view is who are they going to play at? Are they going to play Demi Stokes? Or are they going to play Alex Greenwood? Because I think if Greenwood starts, we could put absolute pressure on her. I think she's going to cave. I really do. I don't know if Demi Stokes is all that massively good either, but I just think if it's Alex Greenwood, you get Heath on her, for example. I think Heath could have an absolute field day against her. I really could, with her footballing brain and just with her. I just think if we go in with a positive mind and we go into exactly the same way we set up against Arsenal, and just press like we pressed Arsenal, press the life out of them. Don't give them 2 minutes on the ball. I reckon we could come up top trumps in this one. But saying that, we have to be clinical. We have to take our chances. We can't squander chances that we have been doing, because we know if City get a chance at the other end with Adam White, 9 times out of 10, well, probably 8, 9 times out of 10, she's going to put the ball in the back of the net. She's clinical. We need to bury the game as early as we can. Get a couple of goals, and if we get a couple of goals, we'll get the third one. And let's bury this game completely out of their sight, and then maybe look to take the brakes off a little bit. But I think they could be gotten at, and I reckon Alex Greenwood, if she plays, I'd be really tempted to put quite a bit of pressure on her, knowing that knowing that she's coming up against us. It's a former club and everything, I just think that their backline doesn't look too great to me either. Was it Gemma Bonner? I think it was Gemma. One of them that gave the ball away in their last game. Someone scored a goal or a couple of games ago. I can't remember when it was. Top of my head now. Slept since then. But I think we could pressure them. They're another team that don't like pressure. That's where I think we're going to get our look from, I think.
I agree with that, Ben, regarding the pressure. Matt, your thoughts on the game?
I think Ben's kind of hit the nail on the head. I think for me, their weak points, and this is going to sound crazy, but I think for me is at the back. I look at, there was a comment that just then, I think, from John about Greenwood might be left centre back. Steph's always shaky when we press her. And then you've got kind of Demi Stokes, and as Ben said, I'd agree, she's nothing really, major. I think for me, the one decent defender they have got is Lucy Bronze. But she's not going to be able to do that all by herself. And I think, so in terms of kind of their weak points, for me, it's the defence. It seems the last few games has not seemed to favour Bonner, which, fair enough, that's fine. I think, at some point they've had forwards, haven't they? At full back or right back. Stanway's played there. They've even had Becky there. And I think, we've all kind of agreed, haven't we? Put the pressure on, get physical, let's go in hard. I think, talked about before stopping Sam Mewis. I think if we stop the supply line to Ellen White's going to struggle to get in that game because she's not one for me that'll come back looking for the ball and start running with it. She's more of I want you to do my work and I'll just stick it in the net. I think, stop Sam Mewis, pressure the back players, stop the fullbacks from advancing. If Alex, let's say Gemma Bonner plays and Alex is left back, we've got to stop her and Lucy Bronze getting forward to support the attack. And I think, we touched on it there, just going hard and see what we get. I think score-wise, I'm going to say 3-2 win. I think, I'd have been confident of a 3-1 had we had Alessia, because I think I know that it wouldn't matter where she was in and around the box, outside, inside, she'd be banging the goals in. But I think, like we've all kind of touched on, we've got to be clinical. We really have. And it's a derby game, so we know the players are going to be up for it. We know they're going to be fighting for every ball. Now let's see us stick that ball in the back of the net. But I do kind of slightly worry in terms of our back line. Again, are we going to rotate? Are we going to, be on top form? It's one of those, isn't it? Last year we saw kind of Conti Cup game, and it was like it was an up and down game, wasn't it? We made a mistake. We got back into it. We drew it level. We got cheated out of it with Alino and the ref, and then we lost it in the end. But we've always run City close. Last year, Etihad very close. League, Conti Cup, FA Cup. I think they've always been close games. But this year, our attacking line for me is frightening, and that's even without Alessia. Jess Sigsworth, she will bully the life out of Steph or whoever. Let's get her on. LJ as well. It's good that we can come on a show and kind of have this dilemma of how many good players we've got, and it's kind of refreshing that there's so many, and we can just, we can big them up and like, oh well, if we've not got Preston Heath, we've got Leah and we've got Hansen, we've got Jess and we've got LJ, and I think, confident of this. I think more confident of a win here than the Arsenal game. I just think they're out of form for whatever reason, whether it's the manager, the players, it's not happening. The 5 points behind, we get the win, and I think for me that's them gone out the title race. I think it's going to be, Christmas is coming up. Cup runs are coming up as well. It's going to be lots of rotation. They rotate, we rotate. But I just think in the long run, for me, they've just, for whatever reason, not been up to standard. And I think, this is our chance now to really push on. As I said, we've run them close now, previous games. And I think Saturday is the one, Women's football weekend as well. It's free on BT. So there's going to be a lot of people tuning in. Here and obviously abroad as well. So, I think for me now, very excited for this one. I think we'll come out with a win.
Thoroughly agree, Matt. I think the games that I watched last season, I wasn't that scared of them, and I've said this all along. Even though they won us 1-0, I just don't think it was really that good for it, to be honest. I think, considering we were still, new to the league, I think we did ourselves proud. And I think that win against Arsenal will give us that belief going into this game. I said we would draw against Chelsea. I said we would draw against Arsenal. I'm actually going to go for a win on this one. Now, that doesn't mean that I'll be disappointed with a draw. I think, if we do draw, we stay 5 points ahead of them. As you said, Matt, they're fifth at the moment. You'd have to expect the teams above them to pick up points this weekend. So they could be out of the title race before Christmas, and that's something that would really be grinding at them and may even play into our favour towards the end of the season as well, pushing for them top 3 places. So, for me, I'd probably say I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory, which I think would be absolutely amazing. But, I would take a draw, definitely. Nat, let's finish up with yourself. What's your thoughts on the game?
I think this is going to be a tougher game than Arsenal. I think Arsenal, like I've described them, I think they've got a soft underbelly, whereas I think, we sort of dominated that midfield. I think that's going to be key. Controlling Mewis, controlling the one, Kira Walsh. I think pushing their fullbacks back. So that's why I'm really big and hope to see Smithy, because I think Smithy and Honor, those side, they'll be drilling Bronze and the other one back. I think, what Ben says about clinical, we need to take our chances. I mean, it's not going to be like Arsenal where we're just going to have loads and loads and loads. I think it's going to be very end-to-end. So I think once we get a gilt edge, knife edge chance, we need to just take it, bang, 1-0 it, and then that puts pressure on them to more attack us, then we can counter them. You know, I think if we don't take our chance and they go up the other end and take theirs, then it's, you know, us chasing the game, and then they might counter us. So I think if we start fast, you know, straight into that attack, and boom, getting the goals, bang, 1, 2, 3, you know, then they'll be done for. I think, like, you know, pressure Steph, pressure Greenwood, pressure Bonner, Tobin running at them all. It's going to be end to end, and I would take a draw. I mean, I thought we'd draw against Chelsea. I thought we'd beat Arsenal just because, you know, we've seen Arsenal when they're pressured against the other two big teams. So I thought, you know, if we do the same, we can get a result. I think this one is going to be a lot tougher, and I will take a draw, but I'm going to go like Matt, 3-2. I think it's going to be a tight game. But with all the options that we've got, bring on LJ, bring on Jess, bring on this, bring on that. And, you know, when LJ came on in that other game when we were like 2-0 down or something, she was the catalyst to getting them 2 goals back. We all know about that ref who didn't see the ball cross the line. But, you know, it's about us keeping our headstrong mentality. And, like, you know, a word you said, John, believe. I think now we believe. I think now we are bouncing. I think you're seeing it all. And, you know, it's not about being complacent, though. It's about staying focused, staying on message. And, you know, it's just keep winning your games, keep getting 3 points. And then we'll just see where we are at the end of the season.
Yeah. I was just thinking about what Katie Zellum said regarding Megan Rapinoe, where she actually mentioned, look, we're top of the league, we're top of the WSL. And how good does that feel for the club captain to say that? The team aren't going to want to relinquish that easily, are they? They know if they draw against City, it's not necessarily a bad result in the grand scheme of things. But if they get a win and then they stay top, and I'm sure that's going to be going through their heads, now that they've got that taste of being top of the WSL after 6 games, they're going to be going guns blazing for this. And the typical Manchester United club, isn't it? And can't wait to see it. Guys, thank you very much for joining me and Nat tonight. Hour and 17 minutes, so plenty for the viewers to be watching. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Ben, if anybody wants to find you, how can they do it, mate?
Just on Twitter, just Barmy Army MUWFC. That's probably the easiest. I'm always on Twitter, so that'd be the easiest way.
Thank you, Ben. Matt?
Yeah, put my Twitter name on screen as well, at MattCrane15. And yeah, similar to Ben, you know, getting those discussions in with sort of our fans and even a couple of rival fans, shall we say, jumping in as and when they feel like it. But, you know, I'm all for that. You know, get that discussion. It's good to hear different opinions. You know, some of us agree, some of us disagree. But, you know, come and join in. You know, Barmy Army's for kind of everybody. You know, we welcome new people. You know, we've got people that are brand new, people that have been here since season 1. I think, you know, just come and join in, come and have a chat with us, come and get involved. We've got sort of all sorts throughout the week, you know, whether that's merch launch, whether it's kind of, you know, Feel Good Friday and kind of memories, or, you know, the Thursday throwbacks again. Just, yeah, get involved with that, get posting, get commenting, etc. And, yeah, hopefully speak to some people on Twitter. Yeah,
Matt, you do great work with all the socials as well on the Barmy Army. Nat, where can people find the Barmy Army if they're looking for them?
Yep, it's at Barmy Army MUWFC. So that is on YouTube. We've got our own, and you can see your scarf in the background. We've got our own YouTube channel. We've got a Twitter and Instagram, same handles, all the same handles. Barmy Army MUWFC. Get on it, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. And if you like our podcast, please go to the Barmy Army podcast every Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Please check that out. Just live, you can interact just like we're doing right now. Thank you, everybody. You know where to find me, John Foster MUFC on Twitter and YouTube. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to All For United. Thank you to everybody in the comments. And we'll see you again next week.
See you later, guys.
Thank you, guys.
See you later.
Cheers.